Mom!
Released in 2019, The Curse of La Llorona draws from Mexican folklore about La Llorona, or the Weeping Woman, a ghost doomed to wander eternally after drowning her own children in a fit of rage and jealousy. If you haven't seen the movie yet, this is your spoiler warning. Turn back now. If you thought the Weeping Woman's curse ended with Anna stabbing her through the chest, think again. The Curse of La Llorona leaves us with more questions than answers, and that chilling cry during the credits hints her story is far from over. Welcome back to your nerdy show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master. Today, we're diving deep into the film's shocking ending, breaking down how Anna and her kids survived, what really happened in that final showdown, and what that eerie end credits tease means for the future of La Llorona, and maybe even the Conjuring universe. The folklore and the setup. To understand the ending, we need to start with the legend itself. The movie opens with a prologue set in 1673 Mexico. At first, everything looks peaceful. A mother and her two young sons are playing happily in a field. The younger boy gives his mother a necklace, and she promises to treasure it forever. But moments later, the tone changes dramatically. The boy sees his mother drowning his older brother in a stream. Terrified, he runs, but she catches him and drags him under too. This scene establishes the foundation of La Llorona's curse. She's damned to wander the earth, weeping for the children she murdered and searching for replacements to ease her eternal sorrow. Folklore varies, but the constant is this: La Llorona is a maternal figure twisted by grief and guilt into something monstrous. Fast forward 300 years to Los Angeles in 1973. Anna Tate Garcia, our protagonist, is introduced as a caseworker investigating Patricia Alvarez, a mother who's keeping her two sons, Carlos and Tomas, locked inside a closet. She assumes it's child abuse, but Patricia begs her to leave them be. When Anna ignores the warning, Patricia attacks her and ends up arrested. Anna takes the boys into protective custody, but that very night, La Llorona claims them both, drowning them in a river. Patricia, broken by grief, screams at Anna that it's her fault. She opened the door to the spirit. From there, the nightmare spreads to Anna's own children, Chris and Sam. La Llorona marks them both, leaving eerie burns on their arms, which act almost like a supernatural claim. Once marked, the kids are targets, and Anna herself begins to experience attacks. La Llorona tries to drown her daughter in the bathtub and burns Anna's arm during one encounter. That's when Anna seeks help from Father Perez, a character we've seen before in Annabelle. Perez links the case to his previous run-ins with cursed objects and recommends a former priest turned curandero, Rafael Olvera. This connection anchors La Llorona into the wider Conjuring universe.
Who did you try to stop?
La Llorona.
Raphael's ritual and the final confrontation. When Raphael steps in, he brings not only religious tools, but also folk traditions. He sets up Anna's house with candles, herbs, seeds, and blessings designed to ward off La Llorona. His approach blends Catholic ritual with curandero, a spiritual practice rooted in Mexican culture. But the protections don't hold for long. La Llorona proves relentless, slipping into the house despite the barriers. One of the creepiest moments comes when Anna sees her son Chris being dragged away by the ghostly figure. Raphael steps up with sanctified tears, symbolic of La Llorona's eternal grief, which burn her when they come into contact. There's also the symbolic fire tree, whose seeds and wood are used in Raphael's rituals. In the story, these trees witnessed La Llorona's original crime of drowning her children, and so their essence holds power over her. By lining the doorways with the seeds, Raphael creates barriers she can't cross, at least until the line is broken. And of course, it's broken. Sam, trying to retrieve her doll left on the porch as bait, accidentally knocks the seeds apart, giving La Llorona an opening. She storms into the home, and what follows is a terrifying showdown that shifts between different parts of the house: the pool, the basement, and eventually the attic. One of the most poignant moments happens in the attic when Chris holds up the necklace from the prologue. This simple trinket makes La Llorona pause, her monstrous appearance momentarily fading as she mistakes him for her son. For a few seconds, she looks human again, gently caressing Chris as though she's reunited with the child she lost. It's a heartbreaking reminder that beneath the horror lies a story of a mother who let grief consume her until it twisted her into something unrecognizable. But that illusion shatters when Sam uncovers a mirror. The reflection forces La Llorona back into her ghostly, decayed form, showing the children her true face. At this point, Patricia Alvarez re-enters the story. Still bitter and grieving, she blames Anna for the loss of her sons and even tries to hand Anna's kids over to La Llorona, hoping to get hers back in return. But in a moment of clarity, she realizes she can't perpetuate the cycle of pain. She releases Anna, giving her the chance to save Chris and Sam. The climax comes when Anna, armed with a cross Rafael has crafted from the fire tree, stabs La Llorona in the chest. The spirit screams, her body disintegrates, and the curse seems to lift. The family embraces, Rafael departs, and the nightmare appears to be over. Or is it?
Behold the cross of the Lord, and be gone wicked friend!
Why the defeat feels temporary. On the surface, it looks like a classic horror ending. Evil is defeated, the family survives, and the threat is gone. But the Curse of La Llorona never lets us feel entirely safe. The first sign is symbolic. The puddle of water Anna notices near the house. It echoes the imagery of rivers and reflections tied to La Llorona throughout the film. In folklore, water is her domain, the liminal space between the living and the dead, and the puddle implies she's not completely gone. The second sign is the audio cue in the credits. As the names roll, you hear La Llorona's eerie wailing echoing in the distance. It's the same chilling cry that haunted the characters during the film, and it tells us one thing: she's not done. This works on two levels. Within the story, it suggests La Llorona is an eternal curse, not something that can be permanently destroyed by stabbing her spectral body. You might disrupt her for a while, but like many folkloric figures, she always returns. On a meta level, it's a teaser for audiences. It hints that there could be sequels or spin-offs, much like The Nun and Annabelle got their own continuations after first appearing in the Conjuring universe. The post-credits tease and the Conjuring connection. Now, this isn't your typical Marvel-style post-credit scene with new footage. Instead, the filmmakers opted for something subtle but effective: sound. By ending with La Llorona's cry, they left the door open for her to reappear. Remember, Father Perez directly connects this story to Annabelle. He talks about his past encounters, which fans immediately recognized as a tie-in to the Conjuring franchise. That means La Llorona exists in the same universe as Ed and Lorraine Warren's cases. So what does this mean for future films? At the time of its release, The Curse of La Llorona made about $123 million worldwide on a $9 million budget. Profitable, but not a breakout hit compared to The Nun or Annabelle. Critics were mixed, but the sound cue in the credits suggested Warner Brothers was at least considering keeping her in the rotation of Conjuring villains. Could she show up in The Conjuring Last Rites or another spin-off? It's possible. Thematically, La Llorona fits right into the universe's exploration of demonic forces, cursed objects, and tragic spirits. And given her folkloric roots, she brings cultural depth that makes her distinct from the more traditional Catholic demonology of the other films.
She realized what she had done. She was consumed by guilt.
Thematic breakdown: mothers, grief, and cycles. The ending also works on a thematic level. At its heart, The Curse of La Llorona is about motherhood, grief, and cycles of destruction. La Llorona is the embodiment of maternal betrayal. She killed her children in a jealous rage, and her sorrow twisted her into an eternal predator of other families. Her story is about love corrupted into hatred. Anna, on the other hand, represents protective motherhood. As a widow, raising her children alone, she mirrors La Llorona in some ways, but her choices are the opposite. Instead of letting grief or fear consume her, she fights to protect Chris and Sam, breaking the cycle. Patricia Alvarez sits in between. Initially, her grief drives her to make terrible choices, even attempting to hand over Anna's children to the spirit. But in the end, she recognizes her mistake and redeems herself, proving that cycles of pain can be broken. The fire tree reinforces this theme. It's described as a witness to La Llorona's crime, nature itself remembering her sin. Using the wood to destroy her symbolizes poetic justice. She's destroyed by the very world that bore witness to her downfall. And the necklace, too, plays a key role. It represents innocence and the bond between mother and child. In the attic, it forces La Llorona to briefly remember who she was before she became a monster. That's what makes her defeat bittersweet. There's a tragic person beneath the horror. Our nerdy thoughts. So what does the ending of the Curse of La Llorona really mean? On the surface, Anna defeats the spirit with Rafael's help, saving her children and restoring peace. But the subtle hints, the water imagery, the necklace, and especially the post-credits cry suggest La Llorona isn't gone forever. She's a figure from folklore, and folklore doesn't end. It lingers, evolves, and resurfaces wherever there are new victims to haunt. For fans of the Conjuring universe, the tease left us wondering if she'd cross paths with Ed and Lorraine Warren or get another standalone story. While no direct sequel has been confirmed, horror franchises are never truly finished. And as long as her cry echoes in the distance, La Llorona is still out there, waiting. So what do you think? Did the ending of the Curse of La Llorona satisfy you, or did the cry in the credits make you feel like the nightmare is far from over? Would you want to see her return in a sequel, or maybe as part of the Conjuring Last Rites? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you enjoyed this breakdown, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into horror movies, folklore, and everything spooky. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and stay spooky.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.